Hey guys, Will here with Fantasy Now Plus. I'm here to walk you through all of the preseason Week 2 storylines that are worth watching for your fantasy football teams. Let's start on Friday with the Titans at the Falcons. In Week 1, Van Jefferson played the X with Ridley at the Z and Lockett in the slot. Alec Iomanor played behind Ridley, and Chimere Dike played behind Lockett. We need to know if either rookie is going to push for snaps at the X position behind Van Jefferson, where playing time is going to be much more likely than behind Ridley or Lockett. The reports in camp are that Chigakonkwo is playing a lot. In 2024, he was in a rotation, so if he turns into an every down player, he needs to be added to 2025 sleeper tight end lists. Moving on to the Chiefs at Seahawks, the Chiefs started Isaiah Pacheco as expected and gave him a very brief appearance. Further down the depth chart, Brashard Smith hasn't moved up. He played into the fourth quarter, and it's looking less and less likely that he's going to have a meaningful early season role. We really need to consider moving him out of our sleeper lists. From the Seahawks' perspectives, they rested their starters, which included Jackson Smith and Jigba, Cooper Kupp, and Marcus Valdez-Scantling. Torrey Horton played in Week 1, but of those that played, he was the first to leave the game. We'll need to watch for movement in that wide receiver pecking order for Week 2. A.J. Barner was rested as a starter, while Elijah Arroyo played into the third quarter. I really want to get a better look at Barner's usage, as there is significant sleeper upside if he is actually the tight end one in receiving situations, rather than rookie Elijah Arroyo. On Saturday, the Dolphins play at the Bengals. For the Dolphins, Devon Achane took all of the snaps before Jalen Wright entered the game. We're going to continue to watch for any indication of some sort of specialty role for Wright, but this bodes really well for Achane to continue his usage as a three-down back, despite whatever comments Tyreek Hill may have made. Malik Washington appears to be ahead of Nick Westbrook-Akine, as the latter played into the second quarter rather than exiting in the first. Wide receiver 3 for the Dolphins doesn't have a ton of appeal, but it is worth noting in case of injury. For the Lions, Tim Patrick and Khalif Raymond did not play in preseason Week 1, while Isaac Tesla shined again. When all three are active, it'll be important to see where Tesla slots into the hierarchy to determine whether he may have a role behind Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jameson Williams, or if he remains a developmental prospect for Detroit. With the Panthers at Texans, we need to keep watching the receiver battle for the Z role between Xavier Legette and Jalen Coker. Legette got the draft capital, but he got ejected, and Coker immediately came in and scored a touchdown, along with making several highlight plays. If Coker can take that role over, he has the skill set to really become a factor in fantasy football. On the Texans side, Dare Ogunbowale played all of his snaps ahead of Woody Marks. Watch for movement in this hierarchy, as Marks has the most sleeper appeal of the backs behind injured starter Joe Mixon, but I would have liked to see him get ahead of Dare Ogunbowale before that first game. We'll keep an eye there and look for Marks to make his way up. On the receiving side, Jaden Higgins, Xavier Hutchinson, and Jalen Noel all played a similar portion of the game. Higgins and Hutchinson played out wide, and Noel took almost all of his slots in 3 wide receiver sets. It looks like it's a battle between Higgins and Hutchinson for the starting Z, opposite Nico Collins, and Noel is penciled in as the backup slot behind Christian Kirk. Cade Stover and Brevin Jordan at tight end played a similar amount during preseason Week 1. Unfortunately, Brevin Jordan suffered a knee injury in practice and was lost for the season. This clears the way for Cade Stover to be the clear tight end 2 behind Dalton Schultz. For the Packers at Colts, Matthew Golden played with the starters as expected in the Z role. When Reed is healthy, we'll need to monitor whether there's any sort of rotation in 2 wide receiver sets, or if Reed is just relegated to 3 wide receiver sets again this year. He's super talented, but if he only plays in 3 wide receiver sets, he just doesn't have the upside needed to justify his ADP. For the Colts, Adonai Mitchell played, while Michael Pittman, Josh Downs, and Alec Pierce all rested. We need to keep an eye on this battle for wide receiver 3, as ADM has reportedly been excellent in training camp. Tyler Warren was much more involved than with previous Colts tight ends. If there was any question as to how much playing time the first round pick would get, we got our answer. Tyler Warren is the tight end 1. For the Patriots at the Vikings, Ramondre Stevenson is bringing the thunder, while Travion Henderson provides the lightning. We saw it immediately with a 100-yard kickoff return, and Henderson played clearly ahead of Antonio Gibson. As such, he's now going to look to carve out an even larger role, looking to wrest touches from Ramondre Stevenson. We also need to keep an eye on how the Patriots wide receiver room shakes out. There are a lot of options and some names further down the list that are standing out. Stephon Diggs and Douglas are clear starters at the X and slot respectively. Kendrick Bourne, Mac Hollins, and Kayshon Boutte appear to be in a three-way battle for the starting Z position. Kyle Williams is a rookie name to remember, as he still has time in the preseason to work his way up the depth chart, and Efton Chisholm III is a buzzy sleeper name, but with the competition ahead of him, there isn't a clear path to playing time. On the Vikings side, Lucky Jackson is solidly ahead of rookie Ty Felton for wide receiver 4. The hope for Felton was that an early season suspension to Jordan Addison would open the door for early playing time and a chance to earn even more going forward. However, it looks like the rookie will take a bit more time to develop, and there shouldn't be any expectations for fantasy production in year 1. With the Browns at Eagles, Shedeur Sanders made the most of his starting opportunity, putting together a very nice half with 2 touchdown drives. His scouting report turned out to be extremely accurate, as he was accurate, but also took unnecessary sacks trying to extend plays. Sanders then proceeded to injure his oblique during practice this week, opening the door for Dylan Gabriel to get his start and the same opportunity that Sanders received in week 1. We'll continue to monitor for developments with this Browns QB battle, but this thing could drag on for a while. Jerome Ford received the starter treatment, while rookie Dylan Sampson led the backfield in preseason week 1. Sampson did fine, but he didn't do anything noteworthy to really threaten Ford for the starting job as of yet. Harold Fannin Jr., the rookie tight end, played only during the first quarter, confirming that he will likely have a key role in two tight end sets this year. On the Eagles side of the ball, Will Shipley played all of his snaps ahead of A.J. Dillon and seems to have a leg up in the competition for the running back 2. This is noteworthy because whoever wins that battle will be directly behind Saquon Barkley, and in the event of an injury, will just step into the role vacated in a high-powered offense that likes to run the ball. For the 49ers at the Raiders, Dante Thornton is going to be the starting X receiver. Jacoby Myers is going to man the slot, and Trey Tucker is currently leading Jack Besh for the Z role. While many analysts preferred Besh to Thornton during the draft season, Thornton's role and path to playing time are much more clear than that for Besh. In the Ravens at Cowboys, the rookie running backs for the Cowboys have been getting a ton of buzz in training camp. However, Deuce Vaughn started ahead of Phil Maffa, pouring some cold water on at least that portion of the hype. We'll continue to look for clues about this backfield usage, but for now, Maffa doesn't seem to be a realistic option for playing time early in the season. Looking at the Chargers at the Rams, if there was any doubt surrounding Kyren Williams' hold on the RB1 position, it was put to bed when the Rams' backups all played. McVay has a history of holding out any key contributors during the preseason, so it looks clear that Kyren's workload will stay intact. For the Buccaneers at Steelers, we received very little clarity on the hierarchy for the Buccaneers wide receiver room. McMillan and Egbuka started with Evans and Godwin out, but Sterling Shepard quickly joined them, and all 3 exited before the end of the first quarter. On the Steelers side of the ball, just remember that everybody hates Arthur Smith. Jalen Warren didn't play, but it was Kenny Gainwell who started over heralded rookie Caleb Johnson. Go Hawks. We'll hope to see Johnson make his way up the depth chart as preseason continues, but with Arthur Smith calling the shots, this may well turn into an ugly committee if the team actually is this high on Gainwell. With the Cardinals at Broncos, James Conner played all of his snaps early before Trey Benson even entered the game. For all the talk of Benson being a co-RB1, the usage suggests that Conner is still in control of this backfield, and he remains an underrated asset for 2025. Zay Jones actually played more snaps than incumbent wide receiver 2 Michael Wilson. So there could be a battle worth watching for the Arizona wide receiver 2 spot. It's unlikely to have huge fantasy implications given the lack of target share for their wide receiver 2, but we'll keep it in mind just in case. On the Broncos side, rookie RJ Harvey played ahead of J.K. Dobbins. This is one of the more important competitions in fantasy football, as however this shakes out, there will be massive ramifications to the running back rankings for fantasy football. If RJ Harvey can wrest a lion's share of carries and targets away from J.K. Dobbins, he is way too low in fantasy football drafts. However, if there's a split, are we going to see Sean Payton able to support 2 running backs again? Or is this just going to be another ugly committee like last year? From the receiving side, Marvin Mims appears to be the wide receiver 2 for the Broncos. He actually lined up out wide 9 times, which suggests that he's going to be the second wide receiver in 2 wide receiver sets. If you expected his role to stay minimal after last year, you need to reassess. He has major sleeper appeal. For the Jaguars at the Saints, this running back competition for the Jaguars is a yo-yo. First, we hear out of training camp that Bigsby has been getting the bulk of the first team carries. But then, in preseason week 1, ETN played all of his snaps before making way for Bigsby. This is a situation to monitor, as the reports aren't consistently adding up. There may be something going on behind the scenes as trade rumors swirl. Keep an eye on everybody in this backfield. We don't know how it's going to shake out. Both Brian Thomas Jr. and Travis Hunter spent significant time in the slot. And new coach Liam Cohen's scheme emphasizes the slot. So it's a boon to Hunter's stock that he's being played there. If you faded Hunter upon worries about his defensive snaps, that seems to have been a mistake. The kid is legit. From the Saints, Kendre Miller is the clear running back 2 at the moment. While Alvin Kamara is a great redraft pick and a bargain for contending dynasty teams, keep an eye on that running back 2 battle. Miller started in preseason week 1, and with Devin Neal banged up, Miller may end up being a clear handcuff to Kamara, and that's worth monitoring. With the Buffalo Bills and the Chicago Bears, Keon Coleman and Josh Palmer seem to be locked in as the outside wide receivers for the Bill. Palmer especially continues to be one of the best values in 2025 drafts. For the Bears, Luther Burden actually played the entire first half. While he's eventually expected to earn the starting slot role, we should monitor to ensure that he is making progress moving up the depth chart as preseason continues. All the reports have been glowing, so this is likely just a case of making the rookie earn it, but it definitely bears keeping in mind. Finally, with the Bengals at Commanders, the Bengals starters played, and not just going through the motions. While it may help them get off to a fast start in the regular season, with the Bengals starting players exposed to hits in the preseason, this is a team where rostering the backups makes sense ahead of each preseason game. In this offense, anyone getting significant time will be worthwhile in fantasy. From a running back perspective, Taj Brooks looks to be the direct backup for Chase Brown. Samaje Perine is handling third down duties, and this was really the expectation from day one. But Brooks needs to be moved toward the top of the priority list for pure handcuffs. We'll still keep him behind players with standalone value, but this RB1 role for the Bengals is one that you need to have locked up. If you have a chance to roster Brooks, take it. For the Commanders, Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt started for the Commanders. but neither Brian Robinson nor Austin Eckler played. There's definite smoke here for Kroski Merritt to be pushing up the depth chart already, but we need to watch closely as the preseason progresses. That's all I've got this week. So I hope you enjoy watching the rest of the preseason, and we'll check in again next week.